Have any other questions about this guy? All right then, well, join us next time on The Pack.
So, Mayor, I want you to address the need in regards to economic development for sewer system improvements around Lake Nasworthy and around San Angelo Regional Airport.
There's several issues as it attached to the economic development opportunities here, because we know that the airport is one of our greatest assets, and without additional sewer capacity we cannot maximize the airport. We know the citizens ultimately would like more flights or secondary airlines, and none of that can happen as long as we don't have the capacity to handle additional traffic for sewer system use. And so that's very important to me. But the other issue, of course, is development of Lake Nasworthy. We think it's another one of our great assets, and that asset, again, cannot be maximized if we don't have additional sewer capacity, and that means maybe down the road a hotel, maybe down the road another restaurant, maybe down the road more housing development, but none of that can be realized without additional sewer capacity.
Mayor, for the past couple of years, you've been talking about your vision of having an industrial park at the airport. Why do you think that and of course we have an industrial park right now. Correct. Why do you think San Angelo needs a second industrial park?
And I really describe it more as a business park more than an industrial park. I think there are types of businesses that might want to operate around an airport. They might need an office there. They might have a business that uses a lot of Federal Express or airplane cargo. That might be interesting. It might be that someone lives out in that part of town and really wants an opportunity to open up an office, maybe out of their home, or just a new business. I don't believe we can support only, I truly believe that there's more need than just one industrial park. I believe there's a need for additional business opportunities, and business parks make sense to me. We're a growing economy, and that means more offices are needed.
And so would you imagine that there may be more aviation-related businesses if that complex were expanded?
That's what we hope to pursue, because we do believe they're out there. We have two great things here in San Angelo. We have great weather, and we also have an airport that there's a lot of airspace, meaning that we don't have a lot of air traffic. And so we're ideal location for a business that needs those two things.
And as far as helping improve the local economy, what sort of ways would you see more economic development around the airport helping to boost the local economy?
Certainly restaurants. I believe that there's more opportunity for a restaurant around that area. Lake Nasworthy is a wonderful recreational facility, so I think that there could be some businesses attached to recreational use that could also maximize their business by the exposure there at the airport. A lot of people come in and out of that airport during hunting season. There's probably something attached to that. just think there's an open door to what could happen there.
Nostalgic.
Unbelievable.
Fantastic.
Amazing.
Warm.
It's 8:31, so I think we need to get city council meeting going. I want to remind everybody to put their cell phones on silent, vibrate, off, whatever the case may be. We'll start out this morning with prayer. Gary Jenkins from the police department, would you please come forward?
Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Giving honor to our Mayor, the Honorable Brenda Gunter, and to all the members of the City Council, to our City Manager, to all of the City Department heads, and to everyone here in the Council chambers. I just say good morning to you and welcome. Let's pray. Father in heaven, in the name of Jesus, we bow before you to say thank you for this day. We worship you and we give you glory. And we seek your counsel and your face concerning all of the matters on the agenda today. We ask you for wisdom for the City Council, that they may move and execute the business of this city in a way that will glorify you and honor you. You have said in your word that we are to pray for kings and leaders of our nation and leaders of our community. So that's why we're here to pray that you will give us divine favor, that the city of San Angelo will continue to be the thriving and blessed community that it is. This we ask in Jesus' name. Let everybody say amen. Amen. God bless you.
I'm at a stage in my life where I have to use these to read. So today with the pledges, we have Cornerstone Christian School third graders, Presley, Paxton, and Paisley Rios, and fourth grader, Lorelei Bryant. If you'll come forward, please.
Allegiance to the flag of the
honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible. Mayor Pro Tem, I would just like to compliment the ones that did our pledge this morning. I don't usually do that, but when I introduced myself to them, they made me aware that they're triplets, and then that's their aunt. So, so I just think that's pretty special. So let's give them another hand.
We have a few proclamations this morning, so we'll start. Fire Prevention Week. San Angelo is committed to ensuring the safety and security of all those living in and visiting in our city. Fire is a serious public safety concern both locally and nationally, and homes are where people are at the greatest risk from fire. Homes kill 2,630 people in the United States in 2017, according to the National Fire Protection Association. The majority of fire deaths, 4 out of 5, occur at home each year, and the fire death rate per 1,000 home fires reported to the U.S. Fire Department was 4% higher in 2017 than in 1980. Some of us are around in 1980. When the smoke alarm sounds, San Angelo residents have less than 2 minutes to escape safety. Residents who have planned and practiced a home fire escape plan are more prepared and will be more likely to survive a fire. Residents should make a home escape plan, drawing a map of each level of the home, showing all doors and windows. Residents should practice the home fire escape plan with everyone in the household at least twice a year, during the day and at night. Practice using different ways out, and in a real emergency, residents should get low and go under the smoke to get out quickly. San Angelo residents should teach children to escape on their own in case adults cannot help them, and should make sure everyone in the home knows how to call 911. Residents should get out and stay out, never going back inside the home for people, pets, or belongings. The 2019 Fire Prevention Week theme, Not Every Hero Wears a Cape. Plan and escape. Plan and practice your escape. Effectively serves to remind us that we need to take personal steps to increase our safety from fire. Therefore, I, Harry Thomas, Mayor Pro Tem of the City of San Angelo, Texas, on behalf of the City Council, do hereby proclaim October 6th to the 12th, 2019 as Fire Prevention Week, and urge all citizens to be aware of their surroundings. Look for available ways out in the event of a fire and other emergency. Respond when smoke alarm sounds by exiting the building immediately, and support the many public safety activities and efforts of the San Angelo Fire and Emergency Services during Fire Prevention Week. So somewhere's in here have your proclamation.
Okay. I'm sure you do. Well, thank you, Mayor Pro Tem Thomas and the City Council people. Thank you to the City Administration for allowing us this opportunity to come before the City Council and receive this proclamation. In 1871 was the Great Fire in Chicago, and it was such a tragedy that observation of Fire Prevention Week has been during that week that contains October 9th. And we have programs that are occurring in the schools where we go out to try to teach the young people about fire safety and fire prevention, because those are lessons that they can carry with them the rest of their lives. And tragically, the very young are often victims of fire. So by teaching them early, then they can have that knowledge to help protect their lives. One thing that it showed us from 1871, one of the lessons is that fire prevention and fire safety is a community effort, and we should all work together. It's, though this year's theme is about not every hero wears a cape, plan and practice your escape is an individual responsibility. We all need to work together for fire prevention and life safety. Also with us today is the Fire Prevention Administrator, Ross Coleman. He's in the room, and we're glad to have him here. And thank you again, Mayor Pro Tem Thomas.
The next proclamation is World Habitat and Affordable Housing Day. Get those people to come forward. On Monday, October 7th, 2019, Habitat for Humanity of San Angelo will join with its partners around the world in raising awareness, educating and mobilizing individuals and communities to take action on the current global housing crisis. Habitat for Humanity of San Angelo joins our partners in rededication ourselves to recognizing the basic right of everyone to adequate shelter. We ask everyone to join together as one global network in communicating the message that every one of us deserves the opportunity for a better future. A decent place to live can remove barriers to opportunity, health, and success for growing families now and for generations to come. Habitat for Humanity began in 1976 as a grassroots effort on a community farm in southern Georgia. The Christian Housing Organization has since become a leading global nonprofit working in more than 1,300 communities throughout the U.S. and in more than 70 countries. Families and individuals in need of a hand up partner with Habitat for Humanity to build or improve a place that they can call home. Habitat homeowners help build their home alongside volunteers and pay an affordable mortgage. Everyone can help families achieve the strength, stability, and self-reliance they need to build better lives for themselves. Locally, Habitat for Humanity of San Angelo, Gallaty Community Development Corporation, and the City of San Angelo stand together to ensure we can all provide affordable housing throughout the community. Through shelter, we empower. Therefore, I, Harry Thomas, Mayor Pro Tem of the City of San Angelo, Texas, on behalf of the City Council, do hereby proclaim Monday, October 7th, 2019 as World Habitat Day 2019 and Affordable Housing Day in San Angelo, Texas, and call this observance in the attention to all of our citizens.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it, Mayor Pro Tem Thomas, and the City of San Angelo. It's been very important to me since being at Habitat to understand how housing helps our young future. The kids of San Angelo and the kids of our nation and the future of our country depend on a safe, affordable, or a safe and decent environment to study and grow up in. Studies show that they do much better in school, and that's very important. And it just, everybody deserves that decent place to live and an affordable housing. So it's my pleasure to be able to help people live their dream. And it's been a pleasure to work with Galilee and the City of San Angelo in helping us update homes and keep homes safe, and then build new homes for people who have low income and they can live affordably. So I appreciate it, appreciate the time, appreciate the proclamation, and thank you very much.
make a real quick comment along with that. I've got a couple of young people that come to the Boys and Girls Club almost every day that they do not have permanent housing. And so I understand what it takes to get people into a home or an apartment, permanent type shelter, because these particular young people do not have the same advantages that my kids had or my grandkids had. So I think it's very important that we support getting people into houses. So the next one is recognition of the 75th anniversary of the Goodyear San Angelo Proving Grounds. If you folks will come forward. Steve and Greg, if you'll come also. Randy Breyer is the local Proving Grounds manager. Greg Camarado is director of technical, and Steve Pressler is senior manager for development for the Americas. Yeah, thank you. Goodyear Tire and Rubber Company is a worldwide leader in development, testing, manufacture, distribution, and sales of multiple lines of tires for passenger vehicles, commercial trucks, aircraft, off-highway mining, and racing applications. They manufacture and develop products in 48 facilities in 22 countries and have a global sales of more than $15 billion. Goodyear tire testing operations were first established in San Angelo in 1944, and Goodyear has invested several $100 million in the local economy over the last 75 years. Goodyear San Angelo Proving Grounds Associates will celebrate their 75th anniversary in October 2019. Therefore, I, Harry Thomas, Mayor Pro Tem of the City of San Angelo, Texas, on behalf of the City Council, do hereby recognize and applaud Goodyear San Angelo Proving Grounds for its 75th anniversary and its positive determination to make a difference in our community.
Good morning. On behalf of all the associates working out at the Proving Grounds, I'd like to thank City Council for this recognition for the 75th anniversary. But also this week, not only are we celebrating our 75th anniversary, but we're celebrating a ribbon cutting ceremony for a new test track at the Proving Grounds. In addition to that, we also have a groundbreaking ceremony for a construction of a new test facility for testing large earth mover mining tires. So we have a lot to celebrate this week. I think it shows Goodyear's commitment to the Proving Grounds, the combined investment in these recent construction projects totals in the area of $50 million in the facility. So I think it shows a commitment to the Proving Grounds and to the San Angelo community going forward. Thank you all.
Yeah, it's been my pleasure. I've been visiting San Angelo since the early 80s when I first started at Goodyear, and it was hard to believe it was 75 years. And we're very proud of the people we have here and the work that gets done. And as Randy mentioned, this type of an investment is really a sign of our corporation's investment into this community as well. And we thank everybody in this chamber.
So thank you very much. One of the things that I really take a lot of pride in with the San Angelo Proving Grounds is the people. Right? The people that we have working for us at the facility are second to none. Very dedicated, very proud workers, want to do the right thing all the time. So that's a tribute to everybody in this room, and it's a tribute to all the elected officials as well, and the educational processes you have in place here to be able to produce the type of people that we're able to hire and work for us and do the job that they do for us. So thank you very much.
It's certainly been a pleasure for me because I spent 40 years at Goodyear, so having the opportunity to present this proclamation was doubly pleasing for me. We have one more proclamation this morning, and that is the NAACP National Convention Welcome. I believe it's actually the state convention. Is that right, Shirley? Everybody else that wants to come forward? Thank you. I appreciate that. Whereas since its inception nearly a century ago, the NAACP has continued to fight for voting rights, economic equality, and educational opportunities, and has worked to advance the social, political, and economic condition of ethnic people of color. And whereas our nation has benefited from the NAACP's unwavering dedication to the objective of securing full citizenship rights, justice in all courts, and equality of opportunity for all. And whereas all have benefited from the commitment to these principles on the part of the members of the NAACP. Now, therefore, I, Harry Thomas, Mayor Pro Tem of the City of San Angelo, hereby welcome the NAACP State Convention to the City of San Angelo and ask that all of our citizens continue to work for the principles they have dedicated themselves to uphold.
Good morning. Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem, and to the City Council. We appreciate this distinction this morning. We're very proud to be the local chapter, and we're welcoming the membership across the state of Texas that will begin on Thursday through Sunday morning. So we're excited. We've been established locally since 1946. It was started by L.A. Rabin, whom many of you recall, Mr. Rabin being around and about in the community. This is our first opportunity ever in our local history. The NAACP is celebrating 110 years since 1909. And so we're very proud to welcome our guests here this week, and I'm sure you'll see them around and about. So please show them a good West Texas Oasis welcome, and thank you very much.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem Thomas. I just want to say I was a direct beneficiary of the founder, L.A. Rabin's efforts to integrate the San Angelo community. He was responsible for me getting my very first job when I was a senior in high school at West Texas Utilities, when we had the office here. He actually went down, talked to them, and told them, y'all need a little color in here. Y'all need to hire a minority. And they called Central and asked if there were any African Americans in their distributive education program. I was the only one, so that was my first opportunity. So I can say personally what the NAACP has meant for me and for my family and for this community. So I just am so grateful that we're able to host the 82nd Texas State Convention here in San Angelo. So we're looking forward to a grand time. There are some events that are open to the public at no cost. We encourage you to come out and support. Thank you.
Good morning. I'm Dedra Butler. I'm the vice president of our local chapter, past president back in my late 20s. And this is so exciting and so good for San Angelo to be able to host this convention. I will go along with everyone else and say anyone that has a chance, please come out this weekend. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Mitchell Reed. Y'all probably know me back in the day in '77, played football for Central. NAACP had to fight for me during the times of things that was happening at Central. And our theme this week is that when we fight, we win. When we go to fight, we're not just fighting for the equality of black people or Hispanic or white. We're fighting for all people. We're fighting for the injustices for every human being. So I just want you guys to know that in this fight that we're fighting, we cannot win without you. May God bless you.
move on to the rest of the agenda. Brian? Next portion of the agenda is public comment. Issues or concerns not on the regular agenda may be raised by the public at any time. Citizens should speak from the podium, address all comments to the dais, begin by stating their name and address or the single-member district they're from, and limit remarks to less than 3 minutes. I know we have at least one person out there that has public comment. Joe?
Good morning, Mayor Pro Temp, Council, Mr. Valenzuela, Joe Spano, Manager, Municipal Services for Republic. And here with great news, so I wanted to introduce the new General Manager for Business Unit 215 is what we're called. So BU 215 encompasses Abilene Division and the San Angelo Division. And so I have here Brittany Reckonoff. She's our new General Manager. And so Brittany is tasked with overseeing the operations of 150 employees and 2 divisions, 2 landfills, 40 municipal, we have 40 city contracts in our division, and thousands of open market customers that we service every single day. So Brittany has been with us for 10 years. She has been our finance manager, so she should be a familiar face, and she is very approachable and very accessible. So I would encourage you to get to know Brittany, and she is much more likable than me, so kudos to you. You have somebody who is very approachable to deal with whenever needs arise. Of course, I'm always here for you, but again, I just wanted to let you know the good news. We appreciate the business that San Angelo brings us, and it is a pleasure to serve this community, and I just wanted to let you know about the change. We're super excited about it. Thank you.
Joe, would you bring Brittany to the microphone? And I know that she probably does not speak as often as you do, but I want to give her the chance so that citizens know the new face in San Angelo. Brittany?
Good morning, Mayor Pro Tem Thomas and City Council. Thank you so much for your support. I'm very excited in this new role, and I look forward to continuing to partner with you and servicing this wonderful city. I've been here for over 17 years, and I love this city, and I love being a part of it and making it better. So thank you.
Thank you very much. Thanks, Joe. Thank you. Any other public comment this morning? Chamber of Commerce.
Good morning.
Bruce.
I am Bruce Partain, the President and CEO of the San Angelo Chamber of Commerce. Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem Thomas and Council. Just wanted to remind everyone that 1 week from today in this building will be the Business Expo, the 28th Annual Business Expo from the Chamber of Commerce. We have a really great group of exhibitors that are lined up. If you're interested in who's coming, check out sanangelo.org. We've divided it into 4 discrete parts this year, so we think that's pretty exciting. On the evening of Monday, October 7th, will be our Buyers Meet Suppliers. So we're inviting procurement specialists, supply chain specialists to come on out and meet the exhibitors sort of in a preview from 5:15 to 6:15 on Monday, October 7th. Then we'll kick the day off early, about 9 o'clock here in the main exhibit hall, inviting business people specifically to come and visit with us till about 11:30. And so that'll be just bring a business card, free entrance with that. And then from about 11:30 till probably 12:45, we have added in the famous State of the City luncheon with an address by Mayor Brenda Gunter and City Manager Daniel Valenzuela. And then from that point on, we've invited an extra about 20 nonprofits to join us. So you'll see a lot of your favorite nonprofits exhibiting in the hall. And then the general public is invited to come at that point through about 3:30. So we really look forward to October 8th, the Business Expo, sanangelo.org, and we appreciate very much your support.
Thank you, Bruce. Any other public comment this morning? With that, we'll close public comment and we'll go into the consent agenda. I'll start with Councilwoman DeWitt. Do we have anything that you want to pull?
No, sir.
No, sir.
No, sir.
Tom?
Nothing to pull.
Well, with that, I'd entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
So moved.
We got a motion and a second. Any public comment? All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That's 5-0. Okay, so then we'll move right directly into the regular agenda this morning. And we'll start with item A. Consider awarding AP 0219 runway 1836 and commercial apron rehabilitation to American Road Maintenance in the amount of $1,260,000, $732,732 for the Airport Improvement Project 39, and authorizing the city manager to negotiate and execute all related documents. Airport Manager Jeremy Valens.
Good morning.
Morning.
Thanks for having me. Brian, do I got slides? There they are. Thank you. So this is our entitlement grant. If you're not aware, we have the opportunity to accept a grant from the FAA for $1 million every year to put towards capital improvement projects at the airport. The project for this year is to rehabilitate runway 18 and 36. And the scope of that is rubber removal, crack seal, seal coat. It's a GSB 88 material. It's actually the only material left in the FAA spec that the FAA will tolerate. We know we can no longer use coal tar. And then we're going to repaint the runway and all the hold bars. Once we're done with that, we'll move over to the commercial apron, which is the concrete apron out in front of the terminal. We're going to replace all the joint seal with new joint sealer and replace some broken concrete slabs. The timeline is expected to take 60 working days. So here's a diagram of the project. Runway 1836 is the one that parallels the terminal. It's the one that gets most use. In fact, if you look at it from Google Earth, it looks like a concrete runway, but it's just because the asphalt's so oxidized that it's turned white. So that GSB 88 will get in and rejuvenate the asphalt and hopefully extend the life of that runway. These are just some pictures we took. You can see the black down the center line, that's the rubber. We get the military jets that like to come in and beat up the runway and leave, and so they leave their mark. There's just another close-up picture. So that white line in the center, that's our center line that the pilots try and aim for, and it's hard to see because of all the rubber deposit. We get over to the commercial ramp, we're going to replace the joint seal in all the blue section. And then in the red section, you can see that's where the new American Airlines aircraft enters gate 1 there, and the Embraer 175. It's got those really low-hanging engines, and we don't want a rock to get sucked up in those engines because the concrete slabs over there are starting to break. So the FAA has agreed to throw that in part of the scope to get those slabs repaired. We had 3 bidders: American Road Maintenance from Tucson, Maxwell Asphalt from Salt Lake, and Vance Brothers from Kansas City, Missouri. Unfortunately, we didn't have any local bidders for this project. The FAA has given us the grant for $1,100,600. So our match is going to be $122,289, and that's going to be using PFC funds. So the total amount that we're eligible to use is $1,222,889. Bids came in a little bit high. The construction portion alone is $1,260,732. And the engineer that we have on retainer for this is KSA, so their portion of it's going to be $109,362. It makes a total project cost $1,370,094. So you can see we've got a shortfall of $147,205. So fortunately, the FAA is going to work with us, and they're willing to give some of our 2020 entitlement grants to make up for that shortfall. So we'll probably get 2 grants issued to us next fiscal year.
Jeremy?
Yes.
May I? Before you move on, I probably should know this, but I don't. PFC, what does that stand for?
I'm sorry, PFC is a passenger facility charge. So it's a passenger facility charge.
Oh, okay.
So it's $4.50 for every ticket that's purchased out of our airport.
Thank you.
Yes. American Road Maintenance was the low bidder at $1,260,732. So what I'm looking for is us to be able to issue that notice of award to American Road Maintenance for that amount. So. Any questions?
Harry?
Questions?
If I could?
Yes.
Jeremy, this comes with a recommendation from your...
Correct. Yep. This has been through Airport Board, and they recommend we issue the notice of award to American Road Maintenance. Thank you, Michael.
Questions from council?
Move to approve.
Second.
We got a motion to approve and a second. Any further discussion? Any public comment? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Motion passes 5-0. I should probably mention before we get into any further public comment, make sure that when you come to the podium, you state your name and address or your single-member district. Each citizen can speak just once per item unless asked comment by a city council person. Public comment is 3 minutes unless extended by the council or if we have anybody that needs translation services. The proponent or opponent is up to 5 minutes unless extended by a council person. So just a reminder that the council has no obligation to respond to comments or questions from the public. So with that, we're going to move into the next item, and that's consider approving the purchase of public safety equipment from Axon Enterprises Incorporated in the amount of $1,681,894.29. Somebody should tell me where that 29 pennies comes in. Through buy board contract number 568-18 and authorizing the city manager to negotiate and execute all related documents. Chief Carter or somebody from the police department?
Good morning, Mayor Pro Tem, council members, Chief Carter with the San Angelo Police Department. Got a brief PowerPoint here on Axon and body cameras. After the completion of the PowerPoint, if you have any questions, we'll certainly entertain that. The San Angelo Police Department purchase request. The San Angelo Police Department requests council authorization to award the purchase of public safety equipment of Axon Enterprises LLC in the amount of close to $1,700,000. Axon Enterprises is a member of Texas Buy Board, cooperative through Buy Board contract 568-18. Here you'll see a slide is the three components, the Axon body, which is the actual body camera. The Axon fleet is the cameras that actually go into the vehicles, and then the Axon interview rooms, which there's 3 of those. What's not included in this also includes 62 tasers for each officer. Benefits of implementation: unified system for all digital evidence, including in-car video, body-worn, and interview room footage. Equipment replacement proposed pricing arrangement includes upgrades throughout the project to ensure SAPD utilizes state-of-the-art equipment as technology advances. Officer safety program includes upgrades and replacement of tasers and cartridges throughout the term of the contract. Improve SAPD's capacity to positively contribute to the criminal justice process by facilitating dissemination of evidence to all prosecutors. SAPD purchase request. The actual total cost was a little over $2 million. A discount of 19% brings it to just under $1.7 million. The funding options: you can have 5 equal payments of $336,000 annually, or 40% up front, which would be $672,000, and then each year after that, $252,000. Again, that's very quick. We'll entertain any questions you may have at this time.
Questions from council?
Move to approve.
Second.
We have a motion on the floor to approve as presented and a second. Any other discussion from the council? Any public comment? No public comment. We'll take a vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Motion passes 5-0.
Thank you, council.
Item C on the regular agenda is a second reading and public hearing of an ordinance approving the abandonment of approximately 105,000 square feet of the East Avenue D public right-of-way generally located between South Oak Street and Rush Street in the Fort Concho addition. Someone, John, are you going to come forward with this? Thank you.
Yes, since this is second reading, we don't have a PowerPoint presentation or anything to present, but our practice is typically to put it on the regular agenda when there was not a unanimous vote on first reading. So this comes to you on second reading for your discussion.
Very good. Thank you. I have a statement to make, which I typically wouldn't do sitting in this chair before I had the other council people come to the microphone. But so let me do this. Those of you that know me know safety is extremely important to me. In some of the organizations that I belong to, safety is number one. Closing of this portion of Avenue D has been something I have been interested in ever since I saw a child nearly get hit trying to cross the street to get to the vehicle that was picking him up. For the safety of the kids from Fort Concho Elementary and the safety of staff, guests from Fort Concho National Historic Museum, I have looked for ways to help with this process. I will continue to work with the school, Fort Concho, and Rush Street Ministries to look at possible additional parking to alleviate the necessity of parents having to park on Avenue D to pick up their children. We will also be working with the San Angelo Police Department to ensure traffic speeds are enforced in this neighborhood. I still think that closing this portion of Avenue D through Fort Concho is important. However, the citizens of this neighborhood have spoken. They are concerned about the closing of this portion of Avenue D. With that, I will make a motion to deny the closure. Do I have a second?
I will second that motion.
Mayor Pro Tem, if I may. Excuse me. Our mayor, Brenda Gunder, is out of town today. She's sorry she couldn't be here. She did state that, of course, she's at a transportation meeting representing the city right now, but she did want me to read a statement from her. As mayor of the city of San Angelo, I have a responsibility to listen to these citizens and make a decision based on their input. I feel at this point that closing Avenue D is not the right decision. And that's from Mayor Brenda Gunder.
Very good. I know that there is at least, there could be some input from some other council people, so I want to open it up. Tom, do you have a comment?
Absolutely. And trust me, I've got phone calls, and this is not in my district, it's Harry's district. I'll lean for Harry's direction on this. But I went, and my kids went to Fort Concho for several years. I was in that traffic line for many. I never used Avenue D. My son attends Young Life 2 nights a week, right down the same street. I've watched people nearly get run over. I watched 3 girls nearly get run over the other night. And I see the point to it. I think it's a safety and clarification issue there. I think what we have now is an issue of convenience versus safety. I get that. I see the part. I mean, I've had people from my church call up and say, well, you know, just because you didn't use Avenue D. And I'm like, well, you know, I get that and I understand, but I want people to say, I think what you have to look at is convenience versus safety. And I'm going to lean on the edge of safety with my vote. I get that. Nothing against anybody. I just think that's a long-term concern we have to keep in mind.
Other input from council?
Oh, I would just like to say that I will continue to vote the way I did last time, and that is to keep it open. I believe that that street is accessible to these citizens that live in that neighborhood, and I think we need to listen to them when they speak and ask us to leave that street open. So my vote will still be to leave the street open.
Any other council?
I would just like to echo what has been said already. I do think it is convenience versus safety, but I do not change my vote. One of the commitments that I made when I campaigned for the city council was that I would listen to the citizens of the city and vote in their best interest whenever I could. And because of the loud outcry, and particularly the citizens that said, I'm ill, someone in my family is ill, we need a quick, easily accessible way for emergency vehicles to get to us. And we did hear from the fire department and the police department that there would not be any delay in people getting to them, but we know that our perceptions drive a lot of our emotions. And so I am glad that Mayor Pro Tem Thomas is going to continue to work with the school and work with Rush Street Ministry in finding an alternative way that we can make sure that our citizens feel safe, feel comfortable in their homes, and that we care about them. So I appreciate the opportunity to speak on that. I thank you, Mayor Pro Tem Thomas, for your willingness to say, let's take a step back on this, because sometimes I think that's what we have to do. We have to step back, take a look at the realities of the situation, how the public feels about it, and make some decisions based on that. So I think this was the right move. I'm glad that the mayor, felt the same way, and so I think it just makes me feel better about who we are sitting up here. Thank you.
I have the same perspective as Tom. Safety is a concern of mine. I'll continue to support my vote from last time. I do think there needs to be a little bit of relook on this. It doesn't look like it will be closing based on what I've heard today. But that'll give us time to step back, take a look to see how we can make it better for maybe a future closure.
Thank you.
I've got another. If the way it's still in, they're still going to have events down there. So what's going to be the procedure for days of events? I mean,
Certainly, I think Bob is here. Bob, would you please come to the microphone? Speak to that.
Mayor, Council, we have had a policy for many years of petitioning the Planning Division to close the street for events, and I would anticipate that we would do that for the future. My board shares the safety issues, and they have instructed me to file those paperworks to close the street anytime we have a major event in which safety would be an issue.
Any questions from Bob?
good with that one.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any public comment on this particular item? Mr. Cardenas.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen of the council. My name is Daniel Cardenas. I'm an ex-city council member for 12 years, served 3 years on the school board and 8 years on the zoning board of adjustments. I have a lot of experience in this field. The main issue here was the children, but there's two main issues, the children and the neighborhood, okay? It's not just a school, it's the neighborhood. To demonstrate to you my interest and my concern, I've been working with the superintendent of the San Angeles Independent School District for the past 6 months. We've walked the school district area. I've been pushing for them to buy all the homes on Highland that are adjacent to Washington Drive. So I'm a doer. I'm out there doing my work. You know, so it's not like I became concerned about this yesterday. No, it's been there. Avenue D is very important to stay open. We've never had a problem with a Ford utilizing the street or closing the street for their activities. We have always supported them, but my concern has always been the neighborhood. Okay, the neighborhood. The school, we got cheated out of a grounds. They encroached us into less than 2 acres for a school, when today they talk about to build a brand new elementary school, we're talking about 12 to 15 acres. Come on. We have to stand up for what's right. I have always had my philosophy has always been, what's popular is not always right. But what's right, what's popular is not always right. Okay? I forgot my, what popular is not always right. What's right is not always popular. And I hope and I appreciate you guys for taking special consideration on this issue. And I'll continue fighting for issues that concern my district and the people in my district. And again, Avenue D is very important. It is, for it to stay open for the safety of the neighborhood. Thank you so much. God bless.
Any other public comment?
Mr. Mayor, members of the council, I'm Mark Brown. I live behind Fort Concho on Baker Street. And I appreciate the council listening to the comments of folks who live behind the fort, east of the fort, west of the Concho River. The Concho Rivers basically form a moat on the east side of that neighborhood. And Avenue D is the most direct way to get out or get in. I know what the fire and police folks have said. They can still get in there. They certainly can. But I've been living there and driving in there for 15 years. And when I want to get home quickly, I go down Avenue D. That is the fastest way to get back there. So from the standpoint of safety for the neighborhood, I think it should stay open. I appreciate the school children problem, but I welcome the working on trying to address that because that is a concern. But I think there's another way besides closing the street. Maybe you put up a tall white picket fence between the schools so kids can't even get over there to Avenue D, or you get more land, as Daniel talked about. But I don't think that justifies closing the street. Apparently, I missed the memo that this was going on. Somebody just told me yesterday that Avenue D is about to be closed. I want to show you the sign that was put up to notify the public of this. I didn't take this sign down. This has been laying on the ground flat for at least 10 days. And I went and picked it up this morning before the hearing. I don't know if you can read that. When I drove by it, I saw zoning request. This was at the corner of Oaks and Avenue D. I saw zoning request. I drove by it multiple times. Well, that's not anything affecting me. Certainly never even dreamed it meant closing a street. Well, somebody with a black magic marker, I don't know if you can read it, it actually says at the top, ROW abandonment. I never saw that from my car. And this is the only notice I posted on the ground that I know of. And I'll give this back to the planning department if they want to, or I'll go back and lay it on the ground. Again, it's been laying down, but I just think this is, as a practical matter, this is defective notice. I went and talked to some neighbors yesterday, and they said they received a flyer. They were driving home down Avenue D, and the city handed out flyers to people. And that's okay, but I never got a flyer and had no other notice of it. So I'm extremely appreciative today that y'all are looking at leaving it open. Because if you close it, you've got about a 7-block stretch there between Highland and Bird, where there's no direct access into the neighborhood. So it really is, from the safety of the neighborhood, I think, an important thing to leave open. Thank you.
Any other public comment?
Good morning, City Council. My name is Fred Dietz. I live at 602 Powell Street behind Fort Concho. And we are concerned about the children, safety. But, you know, you can't close the street just because kids run across the street. They had a child hit in Lakeview last week. Are we going to close that street? We can't do that. I think one thing they can do is make parking on the side of the street only during the hours where they release the kids from school only. Because if you close Avenue D, they have a lot of functions there, weddings and different things, reunions and stuff, and those barracks there. And people won't be able to get to those barracks unless they walk from Oak Street to the middle of the barracks there. That's going to cut the revenue down for Fort Concho, I believe. But we are concerned about the kids. But every school in town has kids crossing streets, so you can't close the streets for that. That's my opinion. Thank y'all for listening to us. We oppose it, and we're not the only ones opposing it. All the people that pick up the kids there are opposing it because It's terrible right now. They have to wait a long time. The line is all the way to Oak Street and down south from there. If you close Avenue D, it's going to cause problems there and problems for the ones that eat there at that other deal at Fort Concho. Thank you very much.
Any other public comment?
I'm Waylon Cooksey. I live on Baker Street, so I'm a resident of the neighborhood, and I'm also on the Fort Concho board. And I want to thank the council for taking the time to look at this seriously. I don't envy y'all's position. You got a decision with mutually exclusive motivators. You're putting logic up against emotions. Logically, it's been a goal of the fort for a long time to close that street. It would help the fort a lot with the collection of entrance fees. It would allow the fort to offer additional guest services in the form of transportation for elderly, because we could use golf carts at that point. It would also help the fort collect fees, because a lot of people come in on Avenue D, go to the fort, and never actually pay their fees to get in. You've heard from your hired employees, the police department, fire department, and I believe it's the zoning commission or the planning commission, all say they're in favor of it. So your paid employees that you pay for their expertise have all said that this is the right decision to make. Then on the emotional side, you have, and I understand people wanting to pick up their kids from schools. I happen to have worked in schools for a lot of years, and being in that neighborhood, I've driven through there a lot of times. That's not an official pickup spot. And the reason it is unsafe is because it's not an official pickup spot. Schools are constantly trying to make their pickup zones safer, and parents, for the sake of convenience, are constantly going to non-authorized pickup zones. As I went through a couple of times since our last council meeting, you see people pick up their kids and then make a U-turn on Avenue D. So besides hitting kids, I'm surprised we haven't had wrecks there. It's an unsafe situation. Also living in that neighborhood, and I've done a non-scientific investigation. Really, the only people that should be hindered much are the people who actually live on Avenue D. If they're living on one of the other side streets, they're still going to have to make a 90-degree turn at some point to get to their street. Thank you. Oh, one more thing. By the way, Mr. Thomas, he's my councilman, and every time I've sent him an email, he's been very responsive and very open and very helpful. So thank you.
Thank you. Any other public comment?
Good morning. My name is Angelo. I live in the Cactus Hotel here in downtown San Angelo. I'm not from San Angelo. I moved here at the turn of the century in the year 2000. Actually, the first place I lived in San Angelo was at the Cactus Hotel. One of my favorite things to do would be on a Sunday evening to walk over to the fort and feel the energy and the history of that place. I'm on the Fort Concho Museum Board, which I thought about that. What does that mean? What is Fort Concho? Fort Concho is a National Historic Landmark. It's also a museum. It's also a public park or pleasuring ground. I had the pleasure to serve as a National Park Service seasonal ranger. I have a degree in Recreation Resources Management from the University of Montana and a degree in History from the University of Texas. I think that it's good that y'all are taking a step back, because I agree. I don't think you've heard enough of the citizens of San Angelo and how they truly feel about this issue. But don't step too far back. Even when the street's closed, it's not safe. I've been there at Christmas at Old Fort Concho talking to friends, walking along, and stepped off that curb and almost broke my ankle. More than once, because I'm a ditzy redhead. So it's not safe even when it's closed. The city engineer would have been prepared if asked to note that the removal of the street and rebuilding the missing portion of the parade ground would not push more water into that neighborhood. It would, in fact, draw water away from the historic structures, and it would improve drainage onto the parade ground, which would help because, as we know, grass needs water. And so water would go there to make the parade ground more beautiful. I've done what many people do. The first time I came to the fort was in the mid-'80s. My brother lived here before I came here. Unfortunately, moved away when I moved here. But anyway, we went to the fort and we parked on Avenue D like a lot of people do. And we got out and we looked at the beautiful officer quarters. We snapped a couple of photos and we left. So we didn't go to the visitor center. We didn't make a donation. We didn't make an entry fee. That's something that would happen, I think, if you would restore the parade ground and make that one unit. When you're walking on the opposite side where the barracks are and you look over there and there's a street, you think, well, is that part of the fort? I don't know. Why is the street here? I think it's also, somebody mentioned the Alamo, and on October 18th of 2018, the city council in San Antonio did vote to close streets in San Antonio. They are closing right-of-way on Alamo Street, Alamo Plaza, Houston Street, and limiting sections of right-of-way located on Alamo Plaza, Alamo Street, Blum Street, Crockett Street, and East Houston Street. This is not unprecedented. I know that you're taking a step back, and I appreciate that. And I want you to hear more voices from the citizens of San Angelo. This impacts visitors from around the world. Please, don't step too far back. Look at this. See the good that's there for the majority of the people, and vote for abandoning that street in the future. Please, and thank you.
My name is Pat Quint. I live at 602 East Avenue D. We have resided there for 45 years, and I thank you for stepping back. That street needs to be open. On the way here this morning, I had my husband go to Oaks. We went down to Bird Street. We turned on Bird Street. Bird Street is a dead end. Baker comes off of Bird Street. There are apartment houses on Bird Street. If there was an emergency, those people need to get out as well as us. The other entrance is Highland. Granted, Baker circles down, goes around, and somewhere connects to Highland. Then Highland comes around, and there's the school. There's so much that is in there that couldn't possibly get out. If there was an emergency at 3 o'clock and all those people are coming to pick up their children, there's no way you could get in there. Maybe at that crosswalk on Avenue D, they could put up people like they do at all the other schools to see to it where they need to walk. Granted, when you step down on the street from the seeing everything, I just think maybe signs need to be set there. Step down. I'm praying that you do not close it. Washington is a dead end, so that's not a good thing. The wisdom of the prayer is I'm happy that there is wisdom, and y'all are there. You're our wisdom. Saturday, I was in Granbury, and my doorbell rang on my phone. I answered the phone, and I said, hello, and the phone was, hi, I'm Brenda Gunther, and I changed my vote. I want the street to stay open. I thanked her. She left. Now that was really, I can't tell you what that did to me, that she does care. She was against it, but she changed her mind. That's all we're asking. Please keep it open.
Any other public comment?
Good morning, Council. And my name is Shirley Spears, and I am a small business owner here in San Angelo, and I am the secretary of the board at Fort Concho Museum. I am in favor of getting the street closed for several reasons, and I'll try not to spend too much time before I'm buzzed to stop talking. But I wanted to make sure that I reiterated something that someone mentioned earlier, that Avenue D has never been and is not an authorized or supervised pickup or drop-off point for the school. And that's very important. Now, the fort engages with the school on various occasions. It's accessible to them. They have various programs there. And it's always something that the fort has always done to participate with the school. I'd also like to say that when you look at it not being, as a parent, of course, my child is grown, but when you look at it not being a drop-off point, then you've just created potentially a problem for you and your child when you're going around barriers or around areas that have been set up for supervision for the safety of your children. I want to say that perhaps the convenience is an overriding factor here, but I also want to make sure that we realize that we have laws in place, such as with the school district and policies, to make sure that the children are always protected, and this area is not an approved drop-off point.
I want to also talk about the contributions of the fort. We see people from around the world, the country, the state, the city. There are even people in this area who still don't even know about the beauty of Fort Concho and what it has to offer. But we receive about 55,000 guests a year, and it seems to me that if that street were closed, that it would allow us to extend the parade ground so that, as has been mentioned, there is just a continuity for the whole fort, and everyone can see the beauty of the fort, and it's not like walking through or driving through a museum in the middle of whatever the display is. And so the whole fort is the full display. It is a National Historic Landmark, and I think that we need to connect it together so that it continues to be the beauty and the gem that it is for the San Angelo community. Thank you.
Additional public comment?
Council. My name is Javier Morales. I live on Avenue D as well. Now, one of the points that y'all were pointing out, it was safety for the kids out there on Avenue D. Now, I'm going to deviate a little bit away from the Avenue D term there. My concern as a parent, you know, if we're talking safety here, I see a lot of Central students going from Central in groups of 20 sometimes, going towards McDonald's, making, you know, restaurant purchases there. I wish you guys could consider, you know, if y'all really care about kid safety, to consider maybe something for them, you know, as well. I know we're talking about our neighborhood here, and I appreciate all the, you know, all my neighbors, you know, coming out here, and I hope you're listening. But what I'm saying is there is a problem there at Central, you know, with those kids crossing. I'm concerned we're going to lose a kid one day. So I'm just trying to open up some eyes here. I don't know if you're the only ones that don't see it, or if I'm the only one that's seeing the problem there. Sooner or later, you know.
We appreciate your comments about Central, but we want to concentrate on Avenue D.
No,
right
I understand. Yeah, that's fine. I just wanted to open eyes since we had the opportunity talking about kids' safety this morning. Okay, thank you so much for listening.
Additional public comment.
Good morning. My name is Rosendo Valadez. I was here last time.
You get back to the microphone.
Good morning. My name is Rosendo Valadez. I live in 713 Powell Street. I've lived for 58 years. Okay, I've seen everything there. And Avenue D is a street that we should save lives, okay? I've been there when Highland Street has rained a lot. You can't get out. I mean, the water goes about 1 foot high. There's no way you're going to get out. Now, people that come over here and say Fort Concho is a real nice place. Yeah, I know it's a nice place. People come from all over the world to see Fort Concho. Yes, they do. But those people come from all over the world. Are they going to save any children? God forbid, if the school catch fire at 3 o'clock when the children are getting out, who's going to turn out the fire? Are the people from all over the world going to turn out the fire? We live there. And not only us, the neighborhood. People that don't live there, they can come over here and say whatever they please, you know. So I'm just saying that when you all decide which way to go, you know, do the best thing you can do for our neighborhood and for the schools. Thank you a lot.
Additional public comment.
My name's Michelle Malone. I live on Kinley Lane in Christoval, but my family lives on Avenue D. They've been there 45 years. And what nobody is even paying attention. Everybody wants the fort to be beautiful and historic, and that's great. But that road is so important because it is the only one shot in. And they're right about when Highland, when it rains, it completely floods. You can't get in it. I also own a business on Oak Street. So getting over Oak Street and Highland, it floods there. A lot of times, traffic has to be rerouted that way. So if there is an emergency, Baker Street or Bird would be the only way. Also, I don't think what anybody realizes, the parade grounds are over 10 acres. Somebody said that the parade grounds are an actual polo field size. That's 5 football fields. So the fort already has so much property. It's beautiful as it is, and I get all of more, but they closed the road. That should be enough. They only do the events for the fort. That road should only need to be closed for that. Because it's the neighbors, the kids are only in school from 8 to 4. The neighborhood, we're here 24 hours, 7 days a week. We need to be able to get in. That's all I want to say.
Additional public comment? I think this gentleman up front's been trying to come for a while.
Ron Fenton and I have 2 grandchildren that go to Fort Concho Elementary. I mainly have a question. Have y'all considered, or have y'all taken a poll from the school teachers and from the parents that use that school? If not, why not take a poll? Why not get something in the mail, see what they have to say about it? I find the street very useful. I think the street allows people to get into the fort without having to walk 5 football fields. I think the street could be made pretty. It could be a pretty street with a little decoration, a little bit of this and that, and we have all kinds of artsy people in this town that could make that street nice. But I think it needs to stay open. I think y'all need to take a poll of the teachers and the parents of those students.
I appreciate your comments. I think if you'll have a conversation with the principal at Fort Concho, she will tell you that one of her concerns is the safety of the kids. So I don't know what the PTA said or what any of the other parents said, but I think that was one of her concerns.
Well, that's one person. That's one person who feels responsibility in a certain area. I think you need to talk to a lot of people.
Additional public comment.
Steve Hampton. I want to ring in as being in favor of what you're doing. It's postponing, but I think it ought to be like you set it up on a schedule of maybe 5 years reviewing this. I know you're going to tear down that, you're in the process of beautification around that area, and I think that's great. I think you need to proceed with that. But you also need to, I think the signage on this situation was poor, but it's probably better than many of them have been as far as changing zoning and whatever. Everybody complains about the same thing. So maybe we need to address that. But the fort needs to be to move forward too, and I think it could be more than what it is. But it's going to take a reevaluation of the traffic in that area. Maybe the school system needs to demagnetize, if you will, that Concho School and put it somewhere else and maybe minimize that school as much as possible. But these things take time, but it needs to be worked towards, and everybody has to be. There were a lot of elderly people concerned about having access to medical treatment via the ambulance. And if you go in one side, but you can't get out the other side because it's a maze and has a potential like other streets in your area, filling full of water. And I've witnessed when we had that 4-inch rain, and that place becomes a torrent across there. And I was amazed that I didn't get involved in that. but the fort parade ground was very much involved. To summarize, move forward, but let's plan it out in phases. Thank you.
Additional public comment.
Good morning, Mayor Pro Tem, council, staff. Kathy Keene, our president, was not able to be here today, and she asked me if I would speak on behalf of the museum board. I'm not going to take the time to litigate every issue that's been made.
Roger, would you state your name?
Sorry. Roger Banks, single member District 6. But those issues have been the neighborhood access, public safety and response times. All of those have been acknowledged and stated that it would not affect anything by the Assistant Chief of Police and Fire Departments. Rush Street Ministries also provided a letter of support. Traffic on adjacent streets was studied by the Street and Bridge Department, and they also said that they would not be as adversely affected. You have a letter in your council packages that stated that the school was in support of closing the D because of safety, not only for the kids, but because of the access from the street into the open campus from there. It's often perceived as being convenient, but truthfully, it is unsafe. Some additional points that I think have gotten lost in the discussion is that the fort has also proposed opening a cul-de-sac on the east end of Avenue D by Rush Street Ministries for parents that still would like to pick their kids up, even though it would not be an authorized place. So that would be one thing. I think there's also some negotiations going on in that area for additional parking. Drainage at the fort. By regrading the property, we would be allowed to move water from the historic property towards the parade grounds, so the water pooling around the historic foundations are causing you extra maintenance problems, as well as extra taxpayer dollars to clean some of that up. Get services we've talked about by closing streets. We can now provide services for seniors and folks with disabilities. Drive-offs, as far as the loss of revenue, could also be curtailed. So by supporting this project, you are continuing the restoration of the program, increasing the safety of schools, tourists, parents, and staff. You're improving the site and school security. You're improving drainage around the historic buildings. We would be enhancing gift services and increased revenue. In closing, let me say Fort Concho serves the entire city of San Angelo. And thanks to bold efforts from city councils over the last 65 years, Fort Concho has the distinction of being one of the most preserved forts east of the Mississippi, something that we're all proud of and we talk about every chance that we get. So on behalf of the museum board, we thank you all for your continued support to our community, and we look forward to working with this council to continue that legacy. Thank you very much.
Additional public comment. Anyone else in the audience want to speak to this particular item? Then please come forward.
Good morning, Mayor Pro Tem, City Council. My name is Leroy Anderson. I live at 618 Powell Street. That's directly in back of the fort. I'm one of the people that were handing out flyers yesterday. When I was handing out flyers, I handed out 49 of them. I had one left in my hand. A policeman drove up. The policeman told me that there was a complaint by a passerby that I was creating an unsafe condition by handing out flyers. Okay, I'll stop doing that. And he said, well, what were the flyers for? And I handed him the flyer. He says, you mean they want to close the street? I said, yeah. He says, he uses that street all the time to get into Fort Concho. So, you know, he says that's the best way for him to get into it. The second issue I have is that my wife and I yesterday walked the entire pickup zone area. That included all of Highland. There were hundreds of cars waiting to pick up students. Every one of them was running. They're on both sides. They're on both sides of Washington. There are no sidewalks on the other side of Washington. So that means that all the students that have to get into the cars on the south side of Washington have to walk across the street. There's no other way for them to do that. And there's cars driving up down the middle of Washington while those people are waiting. So it's really a very bad situation as far as pickup and layout of the way the school is set there, the way the streets are. And I see in the future that Avenue D may become an auxiliary, just like airports have auxiliaries. Like you go to Dallas, there's lots of little airports around Dallas that help out DFW. And the same would go here, where Avenue D could become a auxiliary pickup zone for the rest of the school, because that school only has pickup on the one side, as opposed to other schools that have pickups all the way around their schools, or at least the ability to do that. So that's about it. Thank you.
Additional public comment? Anyone else in the audience want to talk to this particular item? Please come forward. I see no one approaching the microphone, so I'm going to close public comment on this. Any further discussion from the council on this item?
Mayor Pro Tem, I did had a conversation with the mayor as well. She did highly recommend that we work very closely, as you mentioned a while ago too, Mayor Pro Tem. Work very closely with the school district to address the safety concerns, the safety issues. I do want to, of course, mention, and everybody knows this, that we have a tremendous asset in Fort Concho. It is something that for us is a source of pride, but we also know that needs to be a balance. When we start looking at closures of streets and what have you, we want to make sure that we're taking a look at all different aspects and making sure that we're addressing those. So I think at this point, taking a step back is the right thing to do. And hopefully in the future, we can address this differently. Thank you.
Any other staff need to talk about this particular item? We have a motion on the floor to deny this particular request to close this portion of Avenue D. We have a second. I'll take a vote. All those in favor say aye.
Okay.
I'm a little
So to
confused.
deny the request.
Deny the request. To deny the request to close the road. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Let's show of hands. Opposed? Motion to deny passes 3-2.
I'm sorry. Our charter calls for a vote of 4 for a quorum of votes, so the item would fail. Do we have another motion?
Need to call for another motion then?
Yes.
Table, because wouldn't it be just the reverse?
Right now, the votes you took you haven't denied it, but if you fail to approve it, then that's in essence a denial that'll stand. So right now, there's not a denial because you don't have enough to deny it, but you need to see if you have enough to approve it. If you don't approve it, then it is essentially denied.
It's basically dead at this point.
Yes.
So move to approve.
Got you.
Let's get this going.
And then
Move to approve.
So we need a motion. Now we don't have enough council. There's not enough to deny them on because it was only a 3-2 vote with the 5 of us that are here. It needs to be at least.
So if we get 2 to vote for it and then 3 against it, then it fails.
The approval fails.
I make a motion to approve as presented.
All right, we have a motion on the floor to approve as the staff presented, and that is to close this portion of Avenue D through Fort Concho. Any further discussion from the council? Do I need to open it back up for public comment?
No.
Although, so we have a motion on the floor, and we have a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Those opposed? So this motion fails.
Overall,
3-2.
fails now.
So Teresa, this item does not come back, is that correct? This is already.
It cannot come back for 6
gotcha.
months once it fails.
So it remains open.
All right. Appreciate everybody's comments on this. We do not have a closed session today, so we have any announcements and consideration of future agenda items? Anybody from the council? And I need a motion for adjournment.
Move to adjourn.
Second.
We have a motion and a second for adjournment. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
9:50.